if he could play a full season, he'd absolutely be the number one. Absolutely no question. It's either he's trying to wind down or his injuries are getting to that point where he's becoming more of a risk that he wants to be a number two. But I don't think there's a great deal you can do about that, sort of not having him as a player, just as a coach. So there's no pressure on whoever the first team one is. But I don't think that's a particularly healthy route to go down anyway. You need a bit of pressure on the first one. And the chances are whoever comes in, if he's fit, Murphy's probably at least as good as them anyway.
Yeah, it's not so much the pressure as well. It's it's such a confidence position, goalkeeper. And I think we saw it with Doohan at some stage last year. We saw it with Huvelt. If you sort of make a couple of mistakes, sometimes you need taking out the firing line and just taking out the team. And having somebody, if Joe can keep fit, having someone as capable as him as a second choice goalkeeper is great, because you bring him in, and as I say, as long as he plays as well as we know he can, then there's not really a drop in standards or anything. And like I say, sometimes you need that, particularly if I don't know who we're going to bring in goalkeeper-wise, but if it is a young goalkeeper like a Doohan or a Hewelt, like I say, it's such a big confidence thing, and sometimes they just need taking out the team for a few games just to get themselves straight again.
I'm just looking at the attraction for a goalkeeper. If somebody comes in now, they'll know that probably in 12 months' time they'll be the guaranteed number one, because Murphy will, I guess, give up at the end of this season. So they might look at that and say, okay, if I come in and perform, I'll be the man next year.
Absolutely. You never know how long Joe wants to keep going for. As you say, he will be 42. 21st of August is his birthday, Lewis. And he's already Tranmere's oldest player, so he'll want to carry on putting that out of sight for any future challenges to that throne. I'm just looking at how many appearances he's made for Tranmere. He's on bang on 100 league appearances for the club, 97 of them as a starter, 3 of them as a substitute. A little bit of a surprise. I always kind of think that he made more appearances than he actually did in his first stint with the club. But of course, John Achterberg was challenging him for the first team jersey at that point as well. So those two maybe at times kept the other out of the side. The numbers of keepers that Tranmere need to bring in then. So, Peter, I hear what you're saying, and you're saying potentially they only need to bring in one really good goalkeeper. I think that the issue that they have now compared to what they had maybe a decade ago is that the youth team, I know we're seeing a couple of players come through this college system, but the youth team is not as strong as it once was. And in previous years, you could rely on a Joe Collister coming into the side and making 3 or 4 appearances. I'm trying to think of other names who maybe made the odd appearance as a first-team goalkeeper. Andy Coughlin, I think, made a couple of appearances for Tranmere when he came through. And then there were the ones that didn't make a first-team appearance but were highly rated, the likes of Peter Kennedy in years gone by and Phil Palethorpe, who had a successful career in non-league football. These days, if Tranmere were to say lose whoever the first choice goalkeeper ends up being to injury or suspension, and Joe has to come into the side, would they have someone who is strong enough in that under-18 system at the moment to come in and sit on the bench and, if required, maybe because of another suspension or another injury, which could happen, come into the first team picture? Because that's what happened at the back end of last season. Let's not forget that they had Murphy, who was out injured, and they only had Huvelt because they'd already sold Doohan. So will there be someone who is good enough to come in and be a third choice goalkeeper, a second choice goalkeeper, but at times potentially, when called upon, play a first team game? I am not sure that the system below the first team at the moment is strong enough to back that up.
Yeah, I'd probably agree. Might be a call into what's his name? Oh, his name just gone from me. The Jamaican who played in Way at Hull. Theo Whitmore. Name escaped me then. They're called into Theo Whitmore at this rate if we get a couple of injuries. But like you say, I think, we're not having that sort of proper youth setup now. It does make you question, the next cab off the rank, whoever that third choice keeper would be if we didn't sign 2. How good would they be? Would they be able to come into that environment and play? So, I don't know what the answer is, but like I say, surely there'd have to be a competent enough goalkeeper out there that you could have in, whether it's a young guy, or whether it's a sort of somebody towards the back end of their career, hopefully not eating up too much money, a few £100 a week. And I don't know what the answer is. It's difficult, isn't it? Because you don't want to pay someone when you know full well that there's a strong chance they're never going to really be required. But at the same time, we know particularly Tranmere Rovers, luck doesn't always fall our way, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if we ended up with a situation where, 2 goalkeeping injuries or something like that, in the middle of November, and you're in a really sticky spot. So yeah, no, that wouldn't surprise me at all. So, as like I say, I think it depends on how cautious maybe the guys are in terms of looking at the squad and planning for those sort of eventualities.
I think Murphy's played. I think he's played quite a lot under Adkins, hasn't he, in the past? So they would have discussed it, and I think as part of the strategy going forward, I think he would have Adkins would have had an involvement in the decision making around a third goalkeeper. Talking to him about how fit he is and how much he trusts his own body and so on and so on. So I think as Lewis says, potentially you get somebody in on the cheap just as an emergency backup. And again, if they turn out to be any good, then next year they'll probably be the number 2 if Murphy packs in at the end of this one. So it could be more attractive. I know if we can go and get one, I would. I just wouldn't prioritise it at the moment. I'd get all the other areas that need strengthening and then see what's left in the kitty at the end of him.